It all comes down to this, SKT. They're able to take game number 2 here. Very well played by Effort, actually. After a weak game number 1, he's able to come in, had a very good Pyke performance, but it really was all up to this guy, the unkillable Demon King, coming in and trying to carry his team, and he did just so.
Like that you specified Pyke and the side of Effort for a little bit of praise. I think he had a much improved performance. Engage was what, of course, he was mostly playing in solo queue before he first came into the team. A lot of Blitzcrank, for example, in the past. On the disengage, certainly been a bit up and down, but on the engage, a lot better. But like you say, it was the first Baron. This was a great decision outside of the vision only just of KT Rolster that got them the first Baron that didn't look to be on the cards. Man, the smite was right down the line as well. But around Barons, SKT found most of their success. This buff did go the way of KT in unlikely circumstance to an auto attack from the Aatrox. Watching the end of this one all over. Smeb did pick it up, but from there, they funnel into the Yasuo, and Yasuo had a field day in our final clip.
Yeah, he certainly did. It was back and forth, but KT, they get baited in. They think FLICKR's alone, and then they get knocked up. Everybody dies, even with Mana coming in just to funnel more kills over to the Yasuo, because why not? They were already losing the fight. Might as well give a couple more effort with a nice play. The engage with the flash. Bone Skewer, and they do let FLICKR do the carrying. Deft trying to pull off a miracle here, by the way, going 1v4, but eventually does get caught by FLICKR.
Trying to buy time was Deft. If he could distract them for another 10 seconds, maybe the respawns could come through. But FLICKR's Conqueror is all you need to know about this game. SKT pick up the victory. FLICKR, not landslide the most damage, but of course, more impactful was the damage coming through from FLICKR. That means we get a game 3, and you can see that the telecom war means that the past means very little once the best of 3 kicks off.
It really does, and well, SKT, they prove that they can do it here. Coming in after 2-0ing Jin Air. Let's see who the MVP from game 2 is. It will be FLICKR. No surprise there, had a stellar star performance on this Yasuo. 11-2-2. Bit of a side note to Effort, you know, he played well on the Pyke, good for him, but FLICKR certainly was the big carry here.
You can take a screenshot of this and put it into that Wolverine, like, fond memories meme. This would be the one where every SKT fan wants to see things like this. They want to see FLICKR with all the eggs in his basket, with the team on his back, and FLICKR being able to carry. It's reminiscent of some Season 3 performances from him, which of course are good memories for most of the SKT fans. Great performance from FLICKR. KT made some significant mistakes around the map they'll need to address. Otherwise, SKT could come up with a very surprising victory over KT.
We're going to have to go into pick and bans here, guys, before the game gets started for game number 3. Let's see how it does go down here in the pick and ban.
Back on the blue side this time for SK Telecom T1. Bans on the red side for KT were largely centered around funnel strategies, and they're definitely not interested giving Xayah up. I wonder if that Xayah Rakan mid lane and support duo would become a normal thing this week, and double funnel ban as Talia is largely banned for her ability to flex into specifically the bot lane. In case you guys are wondering, we're over at Smo TV as the signs show you, and it is patch 8.12, as you can see in the top left. Everything enabled, including Smite on Karthus and Talia.
I was wondering, do you go ahead and ban the Yasuo here, or just go with what you've done 2 games in a row for KT? They banned out Galio every time afterwards. This time they're going to take away the Zoe, which does leave that pick available for FLICKR if he wants to take it.
Does mean that Galio's kind of begging in some ways to go up at some point. We'll see what happens here, but the Morgana will be the first pick, and now we know it is a flex pick between Bang and Effort in the bot lane, so we're expecting it to be duo lane on the Morgana. Also a champion that in another world would be Lulu, and then a funnel would come on the blue side, so could definitely see Braum Kai'Sa enacted for the side of SKT. We'll wait and see if that decision is made, as KT need to just draft pretty safely. The Camille performance wasn't fantastic from Score in the previous game, but would be a champion to try to answer a funnel very strong into something like a Kai'Sa, because you lock her down into an expected area. See what the jungle choice will be. It's probably going to be jungle here. Instead, They could also go for the Tahm Kench lane again. If they don't want to enact into jungle, they just go for a straight-up Tahm Kench.
Maybe take a look and see exactly what SKT wants to do on the follow-up. They might just say, go with what worked, right? Maybe pick up the Pyke Yasuo just right away here and go for that, but certainly you could have other stuff banned out afterwards if that was the case. Like the Darius, the Sejuani that we saw in game number 2, but the Pyke at least is going to be locked in.
The Pyke does mean the funnel is not coming. Very unlikely for a funnel comp to be put together on the blue side, so no funnels in our first series. Maybe second series they'll pick back up on patch 8.12. We have not had one. Will FLICKR just power pick the Yasuo here? He will not, as they look towards the Aatrox. But if they don't take Yasuo, a Yasuo second round ban seems inevitable by the side of KT.
Yeah, it's looking like that. Maybe a little bit disappointing to the SKT fans, and it also puts into question what will FLICKR try to carry on this time if we already have, you know, some damage in the top lane with the Aatrox that does get picked up. And you have to think about what will be left available after the second phase of bans. KT waiting on their final pick here. What will it be? Thinking about a Gangplank here for the first time tonight.
Smeb defaulting back to the Gangplank, which is risky into the Aatrox, who can just straight up dive him and kill him. In a lot of matchups, that's what we're expecting to be top lane. KT's in a weird scenario. They would have loved to just take a Swain and say, whatever you throw at me in the mid lane, I can deal with it. You think of champions to replace the Yasuo, you think of Irelia, you think of other melee champions that can teamfight, and we do see an Irelia ban. That's kind of a stock standard replacement. So to me, Irelia Yasuo would be your duo of bans. FLICKR has a champion Ocean. We know that already. There's a chance he just goes Aatrox mid and tries to wave clear with E and give up some CS.
How about Master Yi mid with no funnel? How does that sound? Maybe bring a little bit of history back as they clap KT in Game 3. I'm sure that's a nice fan fiction for the SKT fans.
SKT banned Rumble after seeing the GP. Now, GP can go in multiple roles, but this season's been top and bot lane only. The bot lane is very unlikely, given that Ezreal's been locked in. KT do go for the expected duo bans. Both these champions work with the teamfight buffing that seems to be going on the side of SKT.
Yasuo ban, that was pretty obvious after game number 2. Mundo also going to be banned out here, so they do not believe in the GP top.
Ornn could be considered then if it's going to be GP in the mid lane. I guess that would be where he would have to go. I'm a bit incredulous now, but
yeah,
waiting to see KT give us a little bit more information. Jungle would be what you'd expect here. Will they just go Kindred anyway as a blind jungle pick? That's very different than Kindred into Sejuani, but they're not really respecting Blank to take a jungler that isn't farmed to level 6, so yeah. His usual Skarner. Skarner is available on the side if SKT want it.
You can see that no bans outside of the Talia, which is available with Smite, by the way, on this patch, were put towards Blank. They say he's probably just going to play Sejuani again, and we're not going to ban that out.
So is it going to be... There's a lot of things that could be, honestly, when it comes to this final pick. They've left a lot of ambiguity about their job. It could be Aatrox in the mid lane. Could be Morgana in the mid lane, now seeming likely to be Vladimir, but Vladimir beats GP, so you'd think Vladimir would want to be in the GP lane. Very, very interesting. A lot of stuff going on in this draft, trying to work out exactly what it all means. On the side of KT, they're looking to round out their draft.
Thinking about a Rise here, actually. Speaking of another champion that doesn't do, well, a champion that would do rather well into the Vladimir, so kind of caught up in my words, but it actually does make sense when you think about that Rise coming in here. We might have a little bit of shenanigans, as the champions should be thrown around a little bit before they do get permanently locked in.
It's almost one of those games where you have to say who's the best on these champions. All right, well, you're going to have to pack up and go to a different role rather than necessarily moving around the exact champions here. I think the players might have to move around when it comes to whether Yukar will be in the mid lane or not. Tar will want to be in the GP lane. FLICKR will be on mid lane Aatrox, so that is very interesting to see. We'll wait and see if there's a swap at 20 seconds, but that seems very likely. It also makes sense with their comp because it seemed to be very Aatrox focused, as eventually we're going to see where all the roles are at. That means that right now, if you're SKT, you really like the Rise being into the Aatrox, and you're not a big fan as KT of having to have GP deal with the Vladimir.
Certainly feels like the musical chairs were won by SKT, but You have your Yasuo banned out, and you think, you know, who is FLICKR going to play when you saw the Aatrox picked early on, but they actually sneak it through onto FLICKR, through all the bans and through the minds of everyone, and I suppose that's just another carry that FLICKR can play.
What does it mean for the lane assignments? FLICKR could also go in the GP lane. It's not a bad lane for Aatrox, but Vladimir does way better into GP than he does Rise. So it could be some interesting solo lane shenanigans. Score goes for the Kindred. He gets the Sejuani matchup again. He'll feel good about that, but you have to assume Bang and Effort will do a lot better at level 1 than they did last time in game number 1 of this series.
Gonna be interested to see if Kindred can win 2-0 tonight as well. Definitely some focus on the score on that pick, but the countdown has started, guys. Game number 3 to decide the telecom war right now. A sold-out crowd here in the next Sun Arena for both matches tonight. SKT versus KT, the telecom war. Nobody wants to miss that here, especially in Korea. And of course, Griffin versus Kingzone, number 1 versus number 2 later on tonight.
Smeb is doing his best to be someone to draw aggro. He's got a bit of a global taunt when he's in a bad matchup with Kleptomancy. He hasn't gone Resolve Tree. A lot of people would try to struggle against the Vladimir and slowly lose. This is, well, kind of boned if it just ends up being a standard laning phase, but video games like this usually are not. Looking at some of the rune choices, seeing Score has gone Domination second for the Relentless Hunter, and also the Sudden Impact. Mata creates a bit of flashbacks of game 1 with the level 1 Q.
Putting on the moves, and now they have a ward onto Effort, which means that some early damage again, although Q does miss there from Deft at the end.
FLICKR will have to be very judicious with his use of the Dark Flight. He didn't go Cleanse. He had Cleanse as a summoner when it was still unclear what he was going to play. Went Teleport, so definitely, if you are pushed up against Rise, a Rise route into the chase power of Score could be a pretty big turnaround for the mid lane.
We saw what SKT was able to do with multiple teleports in game number 2. Just actually with the Baron buff trying to surround KT and get on top of them. But this time around, KT also have 3 teleports. So it's going to be a game with 6 teleports. It's been a while since we had that without the unsealed spellbook meta.
Best of luck with that one, Valdez. That's a play-by-play stream right there. Who's coming with the teleport? No
I'll just
idea.
assume it's everybody at the same time.
Sounds good.
I'll land on the right person eventually.
I believe in you, Valdez. As I'm sure both the SKT and KT fans believe in their fortunes for this game number 3. There's reasons to like what KT was doing in game 1, pretty routine closeout. SKT showing us some new stuff. Very, very assertive around the Baron as they needed to be at 20 minutes. And now we get into game 3. FLICKR on the mid lane Aatrox for the first time is a different one. We've talked at length about the freeze that was enacted in game number 2, and similar sort of lane situation now where you're trying to play on that side of the map as a level 2 Rise who doesn't really have any sort of push till later in his kit. Bit of a struggle. So the mid lane and where the junglers interact with that will be a fun thing to track in this game number 3.
I'm just watching FLICKR already begin to zone out Yukal a little bit on the minions earlier on. And I'm just wondering if later tonight, if I play some solo queue, am I just going to get Aatrox mid every single game?
I mean, it's not that different from a pick the FLICKR's already played this season. I'm not even talking about the Yasuo, I'm talking about the Jax mid that he played, and the champion, of course, known much more for top lane. They're looking for a turret dive as FLICKR is going to show up on a ward. If he can take aggro and get the blood well up, this will be bad news for the GP.
TP here from Yukal means that it's not the kill they wanted, but it is denying the TP from Yukal, who hasn't been able to pick up his tier yet either, so might mess with the mid lane timings a little bit.
So what happens here? Rise stays and completes the TP because they knew Sejuani was topside, and they just would have turret dived anyway if he cancelled his TP, but he has to overstay a long time bot lane.
Actually looking for that third and final stack, but Mata taking a ton of damage here. The Flash Ignite would not kill him, but he does have to flash here, trading flashes. But an extra summoner over to Effort is lost from that Ignite.
Again, to cover the top lane, you had to complete the teleport. Otherwise, knowing Sejuani was topside, they see a cancel teleport, they turret dive anyway. It's a bad matchup for the GP. But that does mean he has to go back to lane with just boots and a Dark Seal. So not an ideal back time. He would have had about 650 gold. And end result is that Smeb requires a lot of resources to once again justify a very risky GP pick with even just the champions that were available and selected already by the side of SKT early in the draft.
It's a bit of an all-around composition, I suppose you can say. You talk about that Ezreal power spike all the time, but the Rise, the Kindred even, and especially the GP are going to take a little bit to get online, and they also don't really have a main tank at all. They just have the Tomcats, so no real front line, just a buttload of damage on top of that.
Speaking of buttload of damage,
fight. Looking for the Q here onto UCal. It is going to sail wide, as it will not land here.
FLICKR's so good at getting the wave where he needs it to be, and that means that UCal is getting denied. When it comes to any sort of pushing, when blue buff comes through and he has a couple more levels, he can just take slight bad trade and then disengage the minion wave, but for now, not possible. Effort's level 3 from his roaming shenanigans, but will be 4 very soon. And Score and Mata will need to roll through mid lane to stop that just being rinse and repeat for Aatrox, who can also choose to shove the lane with the E and has some decent range pushing as well.
Bang down here on the Morgana. Just against the Ezreal, was doing just fine. You can see that he was eating a bit of extra damage, but they might look for an engage on Tabata as Blank is coming down. They're looking for a bait, but actually Blank does just cower back into the tri-brush and say, okay, we're not going to go for this, actually.
There seems to be some disagreement as I hear a GP ult. I assume Vlad was trying to freeze under turret.
Blank actually stays, stops his recall, is looking for another gank into the bottom side.
Observer confirms that I believe that was used. I guess it could have been used mid if the upteenth freeze happened for the Rise. Couldn't tell.
Hesitating a lot there in the brush. There was actually no ward, but they couldn't have been 100% sure there was no ward there, and so they eventually decide to call it off.
Talking about rune choices, we haven't talked about that so far this game. It is Predator Vladimir. That's why he started boots and has a lot of chase potential. It makes his teleports a lot more scary because usually Vladimir teleports in and then says, hey guys, why didn't you stick around? And Predator now, and could even be good for a chase down kill in the top lane as well. Another Unsealed Spellbook Tom Kench game. I think we'll see more and more supports follow in Tusen's footsteps and go for this Unsealed Spellbook because the double smite makes Edge Barons a lot more reliable, especially as the game goes on.
Yeah, and with the new Unsealed Spellbook, you can just play around with your options too. Just base it on whatever you need for the fight. If you're playing around Baron, you could go for that. If you need Cleanse just to make sure you're not going to get caught, you can pick that up. Or you can just stick with your trusty Exhaust.
Mata doesn't know that Blank is there.
He knows now, as the control ward was being chipped away at, is going to push him back. As KT was ready to collapse their 4 members heading into the river.
The highest value Ocean Drake first spawns you could ever ask for on the side of KT. GP will like it for kind of staying through a tricky lane top side. Double tier users will get a lot of value out of it as well. As usual, when we do see Ezreal versus a non-traditional marksman, Sheen or an early Vamp Scepter is required. You have to delay your tier to ensure that your trades are strong, so it does mean the Muramana timings are kicked back a little bit.
Effort coming in here is going to be spotted now, as he does not come down. Does take away a little bit. You were talking about the tier timings. Does make it a little bit harder to get into the double tier mode. And now FLICKR has found Score. He's going to at least try to force this ultimate to come out. There it is. The Lambs for Spite. Only going to last 4 seconds here. Can they get the follow-up kill? FLICKR thinking about it. Nicely done there by Blank. Is going to hit it onto UCal. And that's the knockout. First blood. This time will go over to Effort with his Ignite. Fantastically aimed this time around by Blank.
Getting the first roam is working out really well for the bot lane of SKT with the Morgana and her ability to max W and push. This is actually just enabling Pyke, and now Pyke's on the Rift again.
Well, it's level 5 to level 7. They are going to get that engage onto him. Smeb forced to flash away.
Flash ult was maybe a little bit too much of an investment. That means he can't ult the minion wave, so KT losing in multiple ways top side. FLICKR himself had teleported bot side in order to pick up these minions. He wants the big minion wave. Zoning for a moment. FLICKR lower than half health, but he'll get away.
Deft very aggressively says, get the hell away. We don't want you to even have any of the XP down on the bottom side, but here comes Bang. Gonna help out with this.
SKT are getting more minions on the map than KT are through plays like this, where the Aatrox using all these teleports can go bot side. KT slow to react, and first rotation from Effort. Lots of big value. Effort coming back in again. He's not spotted, but they kind of expect this.
Oh, just the tiny sliver of mana left over for Deft. As with no early tier, he's struggling in that department. Let's take a look at how this happened again.
I really like this play from SKT. We don't often see Blank on the invade, but probably called by FLICKR. He says, I know which side of the map he's on, let's invade. You think, where's the ultimate? But because the Lambs Spite is used early from score, they hold on to the Sejuani ultimate, drain it onto Yukal, multiple interrupts to ensure that he won't escape with the ultimate. Nicely done, SKT.
Blank, amongst all the criticism, finally is going to get a very valuable engage there with the Sejuani. It looks like his focus after game number 2, it's coming in heaps and bounds. And now hopefully he can roll that into more focus later on in this game.
And this is the sort of game where Kindred will look much, much weaker than she did in the previous game. So in game number 1, in a really good spot for Kindred where she could hunt and basically had nothing to answer. We never saw Kindred walk up and kill the enemy Sejuani, but she had room to do so. Now we have GP getting hard countered by Vlad on the top side. A good matchup for the Vladimir. And also Aatrox has been able to freeze and hold the minion wave, control the minion wave, and invade onto Score. So Score is not controlling the game, and Kindred from behind, a very different proposition.
Does feel like SKT won this round, but uh-oh, there's going to be a huge gank brush here. They're going to lock down, actually, two members in the front, and they should be able to get Yukal here. That Pyke ultimate won't get it, but he does go down in the end and Score with no help. They're trying to just kill him eventually. Waiting on that one, wanted to hand it over to Tal. That will be a 2-for-0. Here comes Effort with another great engage. They are going to get on top of Mata, who has nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, and that will go over to Effort on the Pyke.
Bang and Effort are the playmakers this time. Bang with a huge ultimate into the back line, had the stasis available. This time not wasting it like game number 1, and then nice cleanup coming up from Effort. 4-0, KT Rolster went for the tricky drop. But I think KT have outdone them. SKT have outdone them in the early game here. Great TB play. The first straight goes their way. SKT in full control.
Wow, KT trying to do the gank brush and just catch them off guard, but SKT, they had the perfect champions to deal with that in the front. Let's see how this went down again.
Get the siding onto Pikes. They know what to expect, but then they clump. First CC into a 4-man Morgana ultimate. Controls space in a fantastic way. Score not going to control any space this far behind on the Lambs despite they were looking for the extra kills. That's why they didn't kill him instantly. Flash into the Bone Skewer by Effort. Very nicely done. And 3 kills and a Drake to SKT.
They give that one over to Effort, who got angry after game 1. He said, let me show you my true form. He's 2-0-2 on the Pyke. Of course, this isn't your solo queue Pyke that's going to be rushing to some kind of crazy 80 item first. He is actually going for the extra wards and the Moby boots and everything to help support.
I like to think that Bang said, you're not even the best Morgana in this lane, and then the Pyke fell into his hands.
Yeah.
But yeah, Morgana, that has left something to be desired. The Pyke much better. Bang spot side, ultimate back up again. Hard to force out the Devour here, but maybe Effort can make this work.
We'll be looking for Mata, as the Devour would be there. Good positioning for Mata. Behind Deft, just to say, you can hit Deft, and then I'll just Devour him. Nothing will happen. But it's nice to see SKT proactive in the early game and looking for picks now that they do have this gold lead.
In a vacuum, Ezreal Tomkench outshoves, outtrades Morgana and the Pyke. But the vacuum has not been here at all about us because they didn't die at level 1. They found great roam timings from Effort to get plays happening the rest of the map. And Morgana has just maxed Tormented Soil and been there to hold the lane 1v2, like old Ezreal Blitzcrank lanes where Ezreal would farm 1v2 and Blitzcrank would roam. So far the roams have been golden. On the side of SKT is, man oh man, is his DPM going up playing as Morgana.
It's really working, you know? Mata's standing in it, he gets binded, he gets CC'd by Effort, Deft even, Arcane shifting on top of the Tormented Soil by accident. A lot of damage going over. And look at what was going on up at the Rift Herald. KT, they're trying to get first blood turret in the trade, but really struggling to do so. They're going to get the stun here onto Mata. No binding from Bang, but even with the ward onto the Rift Herald, with the losing lane up on the top side, speaking of which, here comes Tall looking for the solo kill. Is not even going to get close, but he's trying to push Smeb out of this one, and here's Blank. Looking for the GP ultimate comes in. There's the stopwatch trying to line it up, and it is going to hit, but they do not want to come in with the TP from Yucal is going to cancel that dive.
A lot of resources used on both sides. Talk hesitated for a moment. It hasn't gone Electrocute or Ignite. So doesn't have that little extra oomph for his bot lane.
No binding here, and the exhaust on a Bang means a free kill. They didn't know that score was coming in. Was trying to follow up onto Effort, but it will be a nice handover to the Kindred.
First good gank we've seen from Score on this Kindred. He's largely been about objective control, but this time able to pull off a gank. They could just straight up winning mid lane as the Aatrox didn't even take cleanse for the lane. Didn't need it. FLICKR certainly eating his wheat bix today. Minion wave may be cleared, but FLICKR, ever since he held the wave and controlled the wave so well in game number 2, he's done even better in game number 3, and Yucal has looked a bit behind the pace of this game. Not another great performance from him. While they don't get the solo kill on top, they do get the solo turret blood onto the Vladimir, who has a lot of options going into a second item. And look at the heat maps here, and this is one where the Sejuani has done more work in the enemy jungle than Score has done in the Kindred side of the matchup. Even though Sejuani was picked into Kindred, Kindred has been well held, and Sejuani has made some great plays.
Yeah, a couple of things really helping SKT win this one. Of course, stellar team fighting after KT tried to bait them into it, but the winning lane in the top side, Blank winning in the jungle matchup too, as you mentioned. And FLICKR, after getting help with the gank, is just destroying the mid lane again on mid Aatrox.
So we shouldn't be too surprised. Saw the Aatrox mid coming from where the draft went. The bans kind of necessitated it for FLICKR, but doing it without the cleanse, doing it with teleport, makes it that much more impressive. Now the lanes are a bit different, and remember, the lane assignment for the Aatrox, as his items come in, can kind of be whatever he's feeling. When it comes to Rise or the GP, GP easier, but Rise possible. It's going to be Trinity Force on the Aatrox. The only time we saw this was from Smeb earlier this season. Big takeaway is CDR is not a stat that Aatrox usually gets. You're surprisingly slippery with 20% CDR. And the Dark Flight, the unstoppable nature of it. So does provide you something different in fights, can be good for turret taking as well. Speaking of turret taking, easy job for Shelly in the mid lane.
This time around, Blank able to get the turret right off the bat with that one. They're looking to collapse, actually. Mata and Score in a rough spot here. Mata does have Flash, and there's going to be Cleanse Flash to get out of that. And amongst all of that, Shelly goes in, gets another charge, and now they have position on the mid-tier 2 turret. And they get a nice extra poke after the extra summoners from Mata.
I mean, KT don't really have control on anything. GP can't enter lane against any of the combination of champions. That's why the first round GP was so surprising. Speaking of control.
Score. They're going to be caught in here. FLICKR coming in. The TPs from both sides. The devour by Mata onto FLICKR. He is going to get low and have that passive proc. Have SKT gone too far? Tall wants to jump on in. They get the Bone Skewer onto Mata. Going to help out with that Lamb's Respite to make sure nobody goes down to the Hemo Plague. But in the end, nobody goes down. Despite
not a sustained ultimate, it's only level 10. And at the end, by the time it was put down, it was never going to actually contribute anything. It's not a zone control for a future fight. KT just have such weak solo laners in this game, and we didn't see Deft and Mata win 2v2 in the same way as before, now that Bang has gone for a nullifying pick. Last time Morgana was in meta in the mid lane many years ago, she was always seen as very reliable and not dying.
Whoa!
As, okay, we had some interesting rewinds going on here. Gonna watch the replay.
They just wanted to get right into the action, Papa.
Yes, Tal goes in the back line and draws out the enemy Kindred ultimate, so that was a decent trade, but the criticism of Morgana always was, well, just take a scaling champion into her. She doesn't have a great late game. She doesn't actually combine with items apart from Zhonya's that well, so it just falls off at a point. So go scaling. In the bot lane, it's allowed Effort to roam, and they've made the plays with Effort, while the Morgana has been safely just doing the little thing of pushing in the bot lane. It's very Ezreal-esque in what she's able to do when her support is roaming. So done his job. Has Bang in this game, and at some point you put a Black Shield onto FLICKR, and the results will probably be quite explosive.
So far, Yucal on the rise, just only meeting trouble, and it looks like more is coming his way. The 2-man kill Blank and Effort, they don't even need FLICKR to help out with that one. They find the Rise, they get him and his blue buff.
Rise going the new build, skipping in the Catalyst, skipping the Rod of Ages, but he's got nothing at the moment. He's down 25 CS, doesn't even have Sarah's Shield. So dies in an instant to the duo of Aatrox and also the Pyke. No smiles from Effort, but on the inside he has to be cheering because SKT are miles ahead of KT in game number 3.
That they are. They have their super fed Pyke still not building. And the attack damage items still going into the support. See what he picks up here, but another Ocean Drake over to SKT as they have total control of the map, 5,000 gold ahead.
All the viewers need to know is the sentence you just put out. Map control for a team like KT that probably thought, okay, let's take GP in the first round. We're going to go Kindred. Kindred's going to go for a turret dive. GP all under it. That'll be fine. But the GP chosen into just Aatrox already is one bad matchup. They made it 2 and put the Aatrox mid lane there, which clearly surprised KT Rolster. They were not expecting this. They still didn't know what the lane assignment was at the end, so the safe choice they came up with was the Rise, which does well against Vladimir. They were never going to get that lane. SKT could pull off the mid lane Aatrox. The flexibility of FLICKR that he described in a recent interview of being the most confident playing multiple lanes has really helped out SKT.
See what the Pyke is able to do here from ahead. He can just scout forward for his team and then dash backwards if he ever gets into trouble. I don't see a lot of supports that are able to do that. He also has the invisibility that can help him poke forward. And uh-oh, it looks like KT is in a lot of trouble. Nada gonna go down here as there's just no support. Even a TP coming in from SKT just in case. Gonna give over that extra gold to the Pyke. That means that another kill goes to SKT.
Pyke didn't actually take the kills. It's even better, Valdez. They share it between the Sejuani and the Vladimir. Pyke doesn't need the gold. He's fine. He's Gucci 3-0 and 3, working on a Frozen Heart. No AD from that, but just going for another utility item. CDR is going to be happy for the Pyke. KT is so weak. Any 2v2 or 3v3, they are completely outmatched. Not only deft because it is item timings. 4 walks up. To be afraid, even clearing in his own jungle. SKT feels like a Baron might just close the game.
Certainly heading that way, Papa. This is not the very close and unsure who's going to win kind of game here in game number 3. Actually, SKT, who would have thought, coming in strong after their win against Jin Air 2-0 with a kind of wonky composition, a new sneaky one, and then just standard that took a little bit longer. But then here against KT, they finally found themselves.
A very 2017 spring KT versus SKT series, where SKT just managed to come from behind and take it down. Watching the replay of Mada being caught nowhere, so just goes down easily. Gold going over to the side of SKT. Just come to this 3rd game. It seems like SKT have that extra thought to their strategy. They've really liked, they've developed over the course of this series as well. Dropping out of the marksman race, going for that Morgana in Bang's hands, and so far Bang's done his job. Put in incidental damage, and he's ready for Aatrox and Vladimir to do the heavy lifting as the game goes on.
See how they do want to close this one out. 22 minutes. They don't have as fast of a Baron with this kind of composition compared to the Yasuo one. So they're going to have to really do their due diligence if they do want to try to go for that kind of objective. That means maybe some kills here first. Looking for the pick. Here it comes onto Smeb. The Devour comes in and a double! Stun is going to come in, actually, from the Pyke, and that means that everybody from KT is on the run. Mada might go down here. He does not have any way to get out after flashing earlier on, and they finally find him, and they get the binding too! That's a score in the back line. That's going to be 2 kills over to SKT, and maybe now they'll make their way to Baron. 2
clutch moves. Effort pulling off the flash to extend the range of his stun, getting 2 people, and then the binding gets the smite as well. So the Baron that was looking tricky is much more straightforward now for SKT.
Oh boy, Effort. I kind of said it as a joke that he got angry, but maybe he has, because he is just owning face here up against KT.
KT think they can try to intimidate with that Rise ult, but they can't.
No, they really can't. Trying to have a 1v2 is Tall. Bang comes over to try to help him. Tall may go down in the trade.
Baron's at about 2,000.
Bang getting low now. It looks like finally the Pyke comes over. Smeb trying to go 1v1. He is going to go down. No steal is going to go over as Bang, or rather Blank, is on top of the smite. And now the rest of SKT just on the run. Nice slow there by FLICKR and binding out of Bang. Everybody now just on the run away here from Death. Will they try to turn it around? No bone skewer landing. That means they'll just run away with the Baron.
Enough members of SKT that Death can't go man mode like you would want to. They may take a mid lane turret, but still massive advantage to SKT. You were already talking about that low Baron damage just a few moments earlier. Doesn't matter when the smite is taken out. Score not impressing on the Kindred this time out. KT disengage. Well, watch the replay here. SKT have a team that has strong initiation. Bang can just Rambo into the backline, press ultimate, and it's just squishies on the side of KT. And the moment that FLICKR dives in, we have two super plays. The first one from Effort, setting up FLICKR to get into the team fight. May not got knocked with the knockups, but we're able to get the kills. Someone has to die because there's no other frontliners for KT to help Mata out. But the binding on to score through the death.
Oh boy.
Speaking of bindings.
Mata gonna die again. That's just been the name of the game for him in this one. We talked about it very early on, how they have no tank, and the Tom Kent, time and time again, just getting caught out with no support. Not much he can do with the rest of his team so far behind.
No frontline comp. Wins hard and loses hard. This is one of the latter, as Score is not able to provide any sort of utility with the Lamb's Respite. Not enough advantages what happened earlier in the game. So outscaled in many ways, and it happened early, most because of FLICKR's great laning phase on the Aatrox. SKT push up and breaking the base, next thing on their checklist.
FLICKR says, you cannot collapse onto me. I am Aatrox. I jump over walls, and I own in the mid lane. It's good to see SKT coming together as a team. You know, the teamwork, the communication from the bottom lane, the jungle, and FLICKR to get that first gank off in the mid lane. And then from there, just snowball that lead. FLICKR hasn't even really been the MVP of this game so far, but it's just been a very solid laning phase for him. They effectively shut down the Rise.
The happiest thing for the fans is after they give him a one-game reprieve for game number 1, SKT fans can finally look at a team of 5 and say, I'd like to see these people starting next time. I don't need any of these players to be changed. Are there dream scenarios where players from other regions join this team and upgrade them? Sure. But for where the team is at now, they beat KT in the telecom war. They're going to be so happy with the 5 they've got going. There's been promise from Effort this game that was absent in game number 1. SKT fans just want a solid lineup they can start to believe in, and maybe they have the first step today.
Yeah, I mean, kind of a funny damage graph here as the Morgana seems to be the MVP of this one, but I mean, I'll be the first to say it. I was one of the guys after game 1 who said, replace Effort, go into game 2, bring Wolf back. You know, he wasn't looking as solid as his past self, but at least he looked better than Effort did in game number 1. But who knows, maybe Effort went in there to his coach and he said, Coach, do not sub me out, I will do better. And 2 games in a row, I would say he's had near MVP performances. And you said it before, I mean, we need to have Effort back now for the next series, even if somehow SKT is to lose this game.
If I'm Effort and I want to convince the coach, I say, sorry, coach, at level 1, I trolled, I gave up the kill. That was my own mistake. Everything came from that. Give me another chance. And if that's what happened and Koma agreed with him, I can understand why he stuck with him, because the level 1 mistake was so big that the whole game kind of ended around there. They had a double pushing, huge winning bot lane, getting crushed by 100 CS. Like, that was not supposed to happen. From there, his play has been good. Something to compliment him for. Now for SKT, Baron buff is one off, but they have 3 Drake buffs. All they want to do is break that base.
KT with a nice amount of wave clear means that SKT is struggling with a lack of siege to come in here and actually engage onto KT, but they're so far ahead now, about 9,000 gold, that it's like, we're going to dive your turret. Either you can stay and die or give the turret away.
Easy objectives are basically completely gone for the side of KT. All they have is those inhibitor turrets. Taking the inhibitors, a little bit trickier for SKT. Once again, not the most range. But if they feel confident, as they should, I think Vladimir gets in there with the Predator, zones away, and maybe FLICKR on the back end can take down one of these turrets.
SKT just waiting it out. You can see that UCal is doing his best, struggling to piece together whatever items he can, but 2 items at nearly 30 minutes. That's not the Rise that you want on your team.
Definitely the Rise that dies by accident with a build like this. He is so squishy with this current build path and doesn't have the item timings. About 1.5 items behind the clock, you would say. You want to see a full Zonias, maybe most of a death cap also. This doesn't really achieve much. Meanwhile, Aatrox has 2 items, and while one of them isn't a Titanic or Ravenous Hydra, but the extra CDR can have a bit more utility in the build, more dark flights for the knockups. And the front line of KT is Kindred, Rise, and GP with no gold on the Rise. So unfortunately, that isn't a front line at all.
Yeah, it doesn't really exist. We are going to have a pause here.
Is this the draft issue pause?
Yeah, it's for the wrong team. But this time it seems to be correct as well. The draft was not spectacular from KT, and I wonder what could have happened to allow this kind of a pause.
Oh,
it's a
back.
Toilet issue, guys.
Yeah.
Nice.
Toilet
Well, you guys
issue.
sarcastically saying it in the chat, probably. You were right.
Mata's
gone.
Does he come back?
Well, it depends on what kind of toilet issue, Papa.
I mean, you know, maybe he's seen enough. He's seen 28 minutes, and he's like, yeah.
Imagine that happened. Mata's like, I got a toilet issue, guys. I'll be right back. There's an elevator right next to the toilets. You could just take the elevator up and never to be seen again. Mata disappears from the LoL scene forever.
If the police ever apprehend a suspect and he asks to go to the bathroom, don't they always crawl out the window? This is how it goes.
Yeah.
We're sitting
it's
at
not a bad move by Mata at this point. I mean, it's the KT roller coaster's back. By the way, guys, I know you all got excited after game one. It's your fault. You got excited because, I mean, this was supposed to be the 2-0 over Gen G and the easy win over SKT, right? No, you were wrong. You got excited. You should be ashamed. I expect an apology.
But isn't this exactly a roller coaster where they win against BBQ, but no one's excited? They beat Gen G super one-sided nature, and you get very excited. And then they lose to SKT. Like, this is the KT Rolster. The thing about KT that people don't understand and why people stick with KT, I think KT probably has the most loyalty out of fans in League of Legends because,
he's back.
You know, if you support a winning team, right, you support Kingzone recently or SKT in the past, you get used to winning. You're like, yeah, we won again. If you support KT, who never wins, you have to deal with the theory of, what if I wasn't there when they finally won? What if I missed it after 5 years of them losing? That'd be awful, Valdez. So you have to be there just in case they finally win the big one.
I love the zoom in onto Mata. Observers like, hey, I want to go home too. Can we wait until after the game, perhaps? As I suppose a 0-4 score would make you nervous enough, perhaps, to have a toilet issue.
Well, I don't know if being in full control of his faculties will change how this particular gameplay goes. He has the worst job ever of everyone is paper, and I only have one devour. Please help me.
And it's funny because it ends up being him, his being the one that dies every single time. So it's either he sacrifices himself or one of his paper teammates falls apart.
Yeah, it is not the easiest job for KT. The game's not over, but the 10,000 gold lead and the fact that there really is no counter to SKT running at KT for KT apart from seed objectives is an issue. So the Miracle Baron steal is kind of my win condition for KT at this point.
It was funny to see kind of the bittersweet comments, I guess you can call them, after defeating Jin 2-0. They're like, oh, well, yeah, of course they defeat Jin 2-0, but where's my SKT, right? But hey, I mean, they're here in a big way. Who would have predicted this? It's very nice to see them back, at least against KT.
FLICKR in his double MVP interview said, we beat a fellow struggler, so we can't celebrate. Now, of course, if he downplays KT in exactly the same words, now that would be a statement.
That it would be. Well, SKT still looking for an engage. FLICKR wants to come from the top side of the map, but KT this time to effectively disengage.
Baron management here for SKT is the big thing. They have full control of the map. This is a 95-5 scenario. If the Echo Fox CG happened, I think you probably award SKT the game, but stranger things have happened, turnarounds have happened. KT know the Baron's happening, but can they even get there?
You guys can see the stacking onto Baron, that damage from the Sejuani, but there's the hook onto the Kindred, gets the Lambs for Spite off just in time. The GP ultimate does come down, and now FLICKR is trying to do that damage in the front line. Smeb's going to be flashed after. Actually, the TP from behind the FLICKR in the back line is going to get a triple kill out of nowhere. And that Aatrox now is popping off, and here comes Tall. Didn't have his TP, but finally makes it in. FLICKR finally gets his moment to shine.
Free farmed Aatrox in the back line. 1v3, no problem. Send me more bad guys, says FLICKR. Bangs in the top side, trying to push up. Let's see how much SKT can get done. The death time is, they're not massive, but they're not short either.
I mean, we're here at 32 minutes. It looks like they're just going to push down one lane in the top side. Not even just going for 2 turrets at the same. So let's see how far they do want to push it in here. They do not have that Baron buff. It looks like they're edging towards the mid lane. So they're not going to go all in onto those Nexus turrets just yet. We'll just take the top inhibitor and then back off.
Controlled stuff from them. They know they don't need to make the beeline for the end. They're so far ahead. They start the Baron. They know KT knows they've started it. Wait for them to funnel in. Different type of funnel. Morgana. The bindings here into the Bone Skewer is beautifully done onto Score, who's basically out of the fight instantly. Some Zonias happen, but let's train our eyes on the top side of this fight. I was focused bot side as FLICKR says, I'm going to kill everyone, and that was a prophecy he fulfilled very quickly.
I'm not even sure if he saw them there. I think he just knew that they were there based on their positioning from 2 seconds earlier. That's that kind of game sense that you'll get out of FLICKR. SKT fans must be so happy that after the Taric game, we haven't really seen FLICKR on much of a supportive champion. He's been playing Yasuo again. He's playing Aatrox mid. What else will he bring out that should be exciting for SKT?
Master Yi is the one I want to see straight up, like you mentioned. Master Yi he is 2-0, career undefeated on Master Yi in the mid lane. FLICKR himself walks up to Ocean Drake, and that's not a fair fight.
Aatrox a lot stronger than the Ocean Drake. And that's the 3rd one, actually, over to SKT. So you can see it's quite nicely, I suppose, even though their comp doesn't really allow it to do much.
Effort went in on a ward that time. So Smeb was aware. Smeb did a lot of damage, but hit a couple of crit barrels, and unfortunately his teammates evaporated around him. So again, the lack of front line is really hurting KT being able to put out that damage consistently as a team.
SKT very careful about this Baron once again. They have a gigantic push in the bot lane, and Smeb does have TP. The triple TP certainly helping out there, but already the Baron is going to be started. They're not even looking at that wave. They want to come in here again.
It's live or replay with trying the exact same play again.
Trying to get that binding onto Deft. He is going to dodge it this time around. Trying to go here onto Yukal. He is able to get away in the end. The Sejuani ultimate comes onto Deft here. Here's Tal in the bottom side trying to do that first damage to Score and Smith, but nobody's going down here. Can they turn it around? FLICKR is going to be able to do enough damage, and they get that Pike ultimate to get the 2 kills. And now that will be the 2 that may end this game as SKT is pushing in.
See the FLICKR's chasing Score, stopping him from stopping the minion wave, cutting the minion wave. One of the few ways to stop this game ending, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Smeb does a bit of wave clear, but even though that team fight wasn't ideal, Tal was kited for the majority of it. SKT looking for the close.
They have the super minion up in the top side, and this looks like the foregone conclusion. The TP comes in from FLICKR. They're just going to be looking to push everybody aside. Smeb being ignited. They want some extra kills, and SKT. Effort gets low here, and Score is going to be able to get the kill, but everybody else is so low in the back line. A huge cheer from the crowd, and SKT has done it 2-1 in the telecom war over KT Rolster.
This is the one that will allow the SKT fans to believe. They've done it. They've beaten KT Rolster for the first time in the 2018 season. They've looked good doing it as well. They fell low in the first game that was decided so early from the laning misfires from Effort and Bang, but Bang on the Morgana. First, just to put down the shields on a Yasuo hard carry, and then being a game winner, a match winner, getting that binding onto Score, getting rid of the smite that allowed the first Baron to come down. Were really big for the side of SKT. SKT first with the Zyrakan mid lane, and then today with the Aatrox mid, with the new stuff at the Morgana bot lane. They're the ones at the forefront of the meta rather than being behind the meta.
Yeah.
The old adage of SKT needing a bit of extra time to work out a meta. May that be true? Do you dare to believe as an SKT fan? Because now you're back-to-back winners, and the second one, you beat a real team in the KT Rolster that might actually be up the top. You beat a real contender.
I wholeheartedly agree. Seems like SKT has found something that works for themselves at least. First picking Morgana. With Ezreal left available, that doesn't look like the old SKT that would swipe up that Ezreal first pick, no doubt, but they've come up with some new strategies. Blank also 3 games in a row on the Sejuani. Picks very well, but only sad faces on the side of KT as the roller coaster drives everyone wild again. They 2-0 one of the strongest teams, if not the strongest that we have here in LCK. They make it look easy, and then they come in against struggling SKT, and they go down.
That does mean the parity between the teams at the top is smaller than we might think. KT easily beating Gen G, then SKT beating KT means something, even though SKT on the season has a lot of catch-up work to do. See in our second series if that's true about our top two teams presently, as we got to see a game of what happens when Kindred is drafted with losing lanes. A very low tankiness team as well. That wombo combo together meant that KT had no comeback mechanic. They couldn't really get back into this game, barring some sort of Baron steal. Gonna watch some of the replays of the team fights consistently playing the way of SKT.
First pick Morgana right here, gets the 4-man lockdown, and that's just a one-team fight right from there. They thought they were baiting SKT in, but actually they were the ones who were debated in the river.
And even nicely closed by Effort with the Bone Skewer on Tamada, who thought he was out, thought he was going to be able to escape this one. The bonus kills to SKT, and we're just honestly waiting for them to close it. You could see how big a lead they had. There's always random ways to come back in, stealing a Baron, things like that. But the 95-5 was enacted. I already said it once. It was the CG, the Clutch Gaming situation versus Echo Fox. I think you award this one to Echo Fox. SKT able to close out the game, and now you look at the schedule and wonder how high could they rise.
It definitely leaves more questions than questions get answered. And Effort, well, if this doesn't earn him MVP, I don't know what will, because he looked damn good on the Pyke tonight.
Big turnaround for him. Lowest of lows in game number 1, highest of highs in game number 3 as a team, but also as an individual player. Shout out to Bang. Hitting that binding. Score didn't know much about it, and 3 seconds later, he died.
SKT didn't even realize. They're like, oh, he actually can hit a binding. It works out. He had a ton of really on-point bindings as well, as Effort just executes him through the shield.
Good picks, good play around the Baron. There was no 50-50 Baron here available to the side of KT Rolster. SKT smart around the objective. Definitely not an ideal team fight this time around, but FLICKR jumps in, and yeah, 2 shots. The half health score. This was the one where Smeb did damage. Not sure if we'll see the secondary replay where they iced the game. But iced the game they did. The damage numbers will look good for the side of SKT, but the victory is oh so sweet.
There you go. It's so funny to watch your Morgana in the bottom lane, who's not even necessarily, you know, that carry champion, get the highest damage in the game, but that's what that Tormented Soil will do. The consistent chip damage over the course of the entire game. And FLICKR with a pretty ridiculous score. Just about half the damage of the Morgana. Deft once again on the Ezreal. 3 games of Ezreal in a row, but he does a lot of damage, can't carry it out for his team. And then the saddest thing for KT would be the duo of Ryze and Kindred with basically no damage in this one.
Even though GP put out damage numbers, he was getting dived, he wasn't creating pressure. The Kindred pick really counted against them as well. A lot of issues in the draft for KT in that game number 3.
Let's take a look who the MVP will be from game number 3. It will be Effort. And there was no doubt in my mind that we had to have this guy on stage. I'm so glad that we will. Well deserved from both of these guys. I'm going to hand it over to Ji-Sun for the translation to see what these 2 players have to say. We'll see you guys in just a bit.
Thank you very much. This is Ji-Sun with your interpret translations, and today we are joined by FLICKR and Effort from SK Telecom, picking up 2-1 victory against KT Rolster. So we are with the MVPs of SK Telecom. Congratulations. Thank you.
이 2명의 선수와 이제 얘기를 좀 나눠보겠습니다. 사실 지난 경기도 일단은 뭔가를 좀
So in the previous match, you guys made your first win, and now second victories in a row, and it was a telecom war. So how do you feel about today's victory?
저희가 일단 진에어전을 이겼을 때
So when we defeated Jin Air, we were just wondering maybe we can take down KT Rolster, and today we figured out that yeah, we were quite strong as well. So I'm really happy that we won the game, and I'm really happy that we got our morality back.
성적에 좀 이제 가속이 붙지 않을까
So I think we kind of built our momentum for building up our better results in the summer split.
어떻게 보면은 그 팬 여러분들의 눈빛 속에서 얼마나 많은 기대를 하고 있는지를 좀 느낄 수 있을 것
Effort.
같아요.
A lot of fans have high expectations on you.
이런 눈빛으로 좀 쳐다보고 계시거든요. 어떻습니까, 승리 소감?
How do you feel?
저도 똑같이 연승해서
Just as he said, second consecutive wins is really meaningful for us. So yeah, it feels really great.
세트 이후의 장면이 더 인상 깊다라고 얘기하신 분들이 있었어요. 그러니까
So after losing out the first set, it was kind of like struggling for you guys.
중간중간에 약간 좀 미스까지 좀 누적이 되면서
And there were quite a lot of mistakes in the first game. So what kind of feedbacks went back and forth?
저희가 일단 전체적으로 또 실수도 많이 나왔고
Yeah, there were a lot of mistakes overall.
좀 무너진
And
게
you know,
컸잖아요.
there was a
근데
mistake in the bot lane.
어쨌든 저희 팀이 다들 격려를
But at fourth set, yeah, we can still do better, and we can do better in the next series. So yeah. And also Goma told us not to be just nervous in the game. So yeah, we got our strong mentalities back. So we were able to kind of push through the rest of the games.
진짜 굉장히 높게 관계자들이 평가하는 것 중에 하나가 이렇게 어려울 때 신예 선수들에게 주어지는 그
I mean,
중압감이라는
it's really awesome that rookie player like Effort made a great performance today. Especially SKT was kind of in a crisis, maybe. But Effort, you finally managed to figure out the game.
일단 1세트 끝나고
So after the first game, we knew that we had hard times, especially in the bot lane.
그래도 이제 형들이랑 뭐 코치님들
So our players and the coaching staff told it's all okay.
마음 다시 닫고
So yeah, we were just able to keep our mentalities
잘할 수 있었던 것
and
같아요.
prepare the upcoming series for today.
저는 괜찮아죠.
And those kind of message really helped us today a lot.
예, 알겠습니다. 배워야 돼요, 배울 거는. 2세트 그 모르가나 파이크가 나온 그 조합에
And tell us about the Morgana Pike bot duo.
이 내용 전에 왜 이 말씀을 드렸냐면 사실 그
Because
SKT에게 주어졌었던
back in the days, SK Telecom, a lot of people have been criticizing about your draft. But today, I think you guys did come up with some kind of better composition overall. So how were you able to bring such a creative and powerful team composition?
저희가 지난 시즌까지는 사실
So
라인전
until the spring split,
매우 중요한 메타고 그래서
laning phase was really important. So that's what we mainly focused on. But the current meta is all about new composition. AD carry actually didn't get a lot of influence by the meta, but currently it is not. So, you know, team comp meant a lot more in the current meta, so we have been practicing a lot for the new meta, and we were able to come up with better strategy. And also, our coaching staff were putting a lot of effort finding out the best comp in the current meta. Yeah, last time the Smite Zaya seems to be a very viable pick in LCK. And today you guys came up with Morgana Pike composition. And we are really curious about the Morgana pick in bot lane. And it's not a very mainstream composition in bot lane.
일단 저희가 되게 준비를 많이 했어요.
We really prepared a lot.
지금 어떤 픽에 나와도 이상하지 않기 때문에.
So we are ready with all different composition.
찾다가 찾아서.
And that is one of our new strategies.
네.
And I think we did better than we did in the practice games.
사실 2세트의 전환점이 됐던 장면을 좀 말씀을 드리겠습니다.
And the moment you guys turned the game over in game 2 was when you guys took the Baron in the very early stage of the game.
전반적으로 앞서고 있는 수치에도 불구하고 흔들리는 장면들이 많이
Because
있었거든요.
before that, the game was really close, but whose decision was that?
일단은 지금 세주안이가 버프가 돼서 오브젝트가 빠르거든요.
Well, Sejuani got buffed a lot, so it's really easy for us to get the objectives. So yeah, we were just thinking like, let's give it a try.
저는 좀 상대 심리 상태를
And I was reading the KT Rolster's mind, and I knew that they were not able to get the visions over there. So yeah, we were able to take the Baron.
느낌을 한번 지나고 난 뒤에는 이때는 적극적으로 치는 장면이 있었거든요.
네. 이게
So here,
네.
I was a little bit surprised.
궁극기가 좀 네. 이제 궁이 좀 매섭더라고요.
Yeah, Depth Ultimate was really kind of aggressive today, and it really was strong for us. And we were really staying alert.
저는 팀원들이 한다면 다 믿고 따라.
I always follow our teammates' decisions.
전 계속.
Yeah, I just kept my faith in our teammates.
굉장히 진중한 사실 우리 에포트 선수인데 제가 듣기로는 이 듀오가 서로 마음이 잘
And I
맞을
heard
수밖에 없다는 얘기를 들었어요.
FLICKR and F4, you guys have a lot of things in common because you all like to make daddy jokes. So do you guys connect well? And also, you guys have a very similar Korean name. And also, you guys look really similar. Any comments about that?
그 저희가 원래 아재 개그를 하는 좀 이상한 듀오였는데.
Well, we were the duos making daddy jokes in our team, but we are done with that.
어쨌든 조용한 성격은 비슷한 것
But
같은데.
we are
사실
kind of the quiet guys in our team.
깊게 들어가 보면 또 다른 점이 많은 것
But there are a lot of differences between us also.
좀 뭔가
You know, effort.
약간 좀 착하고.
It's really
그런데
nice.
저 같은 경우에는 뭔가 자기 주도적으로
But
하는
me,
걸 좋아하고.
I want to make
좀 다른 것 같아요.
games on my own decisions. Like I'm a little bit more aggressive.
사람들의 말이나
Effort kind of listens to other players a lot, and he supports other players. What about you, Effort?
저도 저는.
Yeah, I agree because I kind of tend to listen to others a lot,
보듬어주는 그런.
and you know I take good care of our teammates. But FLICKR,
형도 물론.
he is very similar with me, but I am more like a caring person in our team.
착한 편 아닌가 생각해요.
Maybe I'm a little bit nicer. It's not that FLICKR is not nice.
잘못된 물음을 물어봤네요. 아니 농담이었습니다. 일단 아주 유사한 성향을 가지고 있습니다만 그러니까 서포터로서.
So I guess you guys have a lot of things in common and a little differences also.
좋은 장면이 상당히 많았습니다. 특히 야수에 관련된 내용들이 등장했을 때 사실.
In game 2, there were a lot of highlights on your Yasuo. You know, and FLICKR's, a lot of fans have been waiting for you to play Yasuo in mid lane. But before today, it was hard for you to get victories on your Yasuo. But today, I think it worked out very well.
이 세트 전체적으로 평하자면
Overall,
전체적으로 100%
I'm 100.
생각하거든요.
I didn't think I kind of played up to my full potential, but really my teammates took good care of me.
만약에 상태가 좀 더 좋았다면
Well, if I were playing better than I did today,
장면이 나왔을 것 같은데.
I think I could have more initiative plays, but today I couldn't really make that out.
주는 조합이다 보니까
네네네.
많이 먹을 수밖에
It was
없었던
kind
것
of like
같고.
Yasuo funneling to composition, so I was able to make a lot of kills. And I also have a lot of confidence on Yasuo, but today I didn't really show my full performance today.
한 저는 70% 정도.
It was like 70% of our usual Yasuo.
여유가 좀 있네요. 에포 선수 가까이 지켜봤잖아요. 페이커의 야수.
So how was FLICKR's Yasuo effort?
지금 70%라고 하는데.
He said it was 70%.
되면 어느 정도일지 잘 모르겠어요.
But I kind of wonder how strong will it be if it reaches to 100%.
그 에포트도 사실 2세트도 굉장히 좋았었고 3세트 장면들도 굉장히 좋았었는데.
So effort.
붙어가면서 좀 말씀드릴 내용들이 많은 것 같습니다.
You had a lot of super plays in both game 2 and game 3.
2세트 장면 먼저 한번 보여드릴게요.
So let's take a look at the highlights.
나눠보도록 하겠습니다. 자, 2세트의 장면. 이거로 이제 저희가 마감이 됐었죠. 그래서 좀 설명
This kind of ended the game.
네, 이거는 저희 팀이 가까이 있었기 때문에
But I had my teammates near me,
이게 그냥 이겼다고 봤거든요.
so I knew that we won the team fight over there.
수식에도 있었던 걸로 기억하는데.
I even had the stopwatch on me, so
저희가 잘했다기보다는
I think it was not us playing well. Actually, we were just in a very favor of the team fight.
빈틈을 놓치지 않았던 그런 장면이었고 이 이후는 얼려주고 빠져나간 그 상황에서 FLICKR 선수가 마무리를 지으면서 경기를 끝내는 장면 뭐 그런 모습들이
So
있었습니다.
that kind of ended the game. And moving on to game 3,
아트록스가 등장했을 때까지는
Aatrox on mid lane.
연이어서 상대편 탑 쪽으로 이어지면서
Well, you guys locked in Aatrox and banned out a lot of top champions. But you guys actually ended up in mid Aatrox, so we're just kind of wondering what kind of strategy were you guys trying to bring up?
이런 느낌 좀 드는데 어떻습니까?
네, 아트록스가 일단 지금 탑에서 굉장히
Aatrox is one of the very dominant champions in top lane,
재밌어 보여가지고.
so I thought it would be really fun to play.
괜찮은 것 같아서
And I think it is a very valuable pick.
연습을 많이 했고요.
So I practiced a
그리고
lot.
오늘 조합 같은 경우에는
Today,
모르가나가
overall,
있어서
about the team comp, we had Morgana on our side. So yeah, it kind of fit well in our team composition.
차지하지 못했습니다만 굉장히 중요한 역할을 좀 연이했었잖아요.
Yeah, speaking of Morgana, it was really essential pick of your overall draft.
3세트 또 엄청나게 활약을 했었는데
And that kind of
본인의 활약
connected to the super plays on Pyke.
모르가나가 혼자서도 이게 라인전을 할 수 있어가지고 제가
Well,
자유롭게
Morgana is very strong in laning phase, so it allowed me to roam around the maps.
그 장면 중에서 가장 좀 기억나는 장면이 있어요?
Any highlights you remember
네, 3세트에서.
in game 3?
는 용합해서인가?
The team fight near the dragon.
뭔 일 없었나요?
뭔 일이 있는지 한번 체크해 볼까요?
Then let's check out the clips.
우리 용합에서 뭔 일이 있었는지. 요거
Is that the one you mentioned?
이거 맞아요?
네 맞아요.
저 포맷 좀
Yeah, this is the one.
화면 있으니까 앞에 좀 하는 거. 예. 일단 여기서 모르가나가 아주 기가 막히게 통 맞았고.
So Morgana locked down 4 people over here.
모르가나 올라온 타이밍이라 싸움이 저희가 세다고 생각해서
Yeah, Morgana was on the way for the team fight, so we knew that we were stronger in team fights. So I just opened the team fight over there.
딱 맞추고 난 뒤에 분위기를 더 살렸다.
And great combo on Pyke.
굉장히 인상 깊었습니다. 자, 이
So very impressive play on SK Telecom side.
큰 파이팅 한번 선보였었는데 이미 팬 여러분께서 뭐 1세트 끝나고 나서 치어풀이 진짜
You know, and here there are a lot of SK Telecom fans to support you guys. There are a lot of cars and cars showing for your support.
분명히 이 기운들이 느껴졌을 것 같아요. 어땠어요? 1세트 끝나고 난
So how did you feel?
승리하니까 뭔가 더 원동력이 생기던가요?
Did they give you more motivations?
당연히 팬분들이 응원해 주시는 게 저희한테 가장 큰 힘이 되고
Yeah,
또
it gives
매번
us
제가
the most
시어풀을
power
보면서
seeing them supporting
시어풀을
us.
보기도 하는데 요즘에는 뭔가 좀 경기에 지니까
But nowadays, because we have been losing out a lot, so we couldn't really put a lot of attention to our fans. But yeah, it's always so powerful that there are so many people supporting for us.
스포티비 신문식단 내려올게요. 네. 그리고 저는 친어플들 상당히 많았었고.
And there are a lot of fans waiting for the 10 questions and answers from Spot TV.
페이커 선수에 대한
And we have a fan question here.
왜 홀로 여름에
Why are you always wearing the jacket in the middle of the summer?
날씨 너무 덥잖아요. 폭염주의보. 요즘 에어컨을 틀어도 너무
The weather is
더운데
super hot
이게
actually.
긴팔을 고수하면서 이렇게까지 이게 지금 굉장히 두껍습니다. 그런데 이거를 입고 있는 이유에
So why are you always
대해서
wearing the jacket?
제가 좀 약간 마른 게 있어가지고
Well, you know, I'm a little bit like skinny, so I kind of don't like to wear t-shirts.
제가 좀 추위를 많이 타나 봐요.
And also, I'm a little bit
오늘
sensitive to
부스에서도
cold.
에어컨 다들 좀 더워하는데 저만 끄자고.
So I kind of told our teammates to turn off the AC, but our teammates did not allow me to do so. But yeah, so that's the reason why I always wear my jackets.
남들보다 몸이 좀 약간 차서.
그런 것 같습니다.
Yeah, I think I'm a little bit more sensitive to cold.
있었습니다만 이제 서서히 제대로 된 썸머에 돌아왔기 때문에 아마 조만간 몸도 뜨거워지지 않을까 이런 생각을 한번 가져보도록 하겠습니다. 에포트 선수에 대해서도 이제
So, is there any questions for effort?
아까 좀 뭐 취업으로 좀 봤었는데 에포트 선수 본인은 요즘 많이 그 관심이 늘어난 게 느껴져요?
So, do you feel that
아니요,
there are
그런 거는 못
rising
느끼고
attention
있어요.
on your
열심히
side?
게임만 하다 보니까.
에포트 선수
Not really. I just focused on playing games, so I didn't actually know.
이렇게 됐어요. 어때요?
감사합니다.
Can you feel the support from your fans?
바로 이번에 에포트 선수
Yeah, I really appreciate it.
지금 큰 세계 무대에 대한 압박을 견뎌내면서 경기를 풀어내고 있는 이게 선배들. 지금 매번 큰 경기를 좀 치러내고 있는 선배들과 이제 함께하게
So
되는데
this is a question for you, Esports.
시작이 이제
Rift
됐습니다.
Rivals is around the corner.
여기에서 이제 SKT 그 팀원으로서 여러 가지
So as a member of SK Telecom and as a member of Korean squad,
부탁드릴까요? 에포트 선수.
any comments regarding the Rift Rivals?
저희 LCK를 대표해서 나가는 거기 때문에
Yeah, since I am representing LCK players, I'm gonna do my best
생각해서
to make the best
열심히
results.
준비해서 가도록 하겠습니다.
So I'm gonna make sure to put my best efforts for preparing for the Rift Rivals.
세계 무대에 대한 그런 내용들. 근데 이거는 또 안 드릴 수가 없어요.
FLICKR, would you like to add on to that?
기다리면서 기다릴 것 같으니까 한 말씀 부탁드릴게요.
네, 지난 리프트 라이벌즈 때
Well, last year in the Rift Rivals, I kind of underperformed and lost out a lot. So
승리를 하고 싶고
this time,
그리고
I really want to be a champion.
더욱이 지난 MSI 때 저희가
And you know, in the past MSI,
네, 어려움이 있었는데
we had hard times also.
꼭좀 저희가 다시
So this chance, I hope LCK can become the champion of the international league.
이 기운 분명히 리프트 라이벌스까지 하면 연결될 수 있을 것 같습니다. 자, 이제 다음 경기가
So your next opponent will be Kingzone Dragon X.
그렇죠. 사실 오늘 경기는 그 지난번 경기 전까지만 해도 사실상 이런 연이은 대진 자체에 대해서 굉장히
You
어려운 표정으로
guys
지켜봤을 텐데
are kinda having very tough schedules coming up.
라는 눈빛으로 좀 지켜보시는 것 같아요. 어떻습니까? 이 탄력 받아서 킹존과의 경기 어떻게?
So what is your mindset going to your next game?
뭐 지금 상태로면 충분히 이길 수 있다고
If we maintain this
생각하고
performance, I'm sure that we're gonna win.
지난 4연패 때는 너무 안 좋기 때문에
During the 4 consecutive losses, we were really underperforming, but I think we're a new SK Telecom right now.
일단 뭐 킹존에 대한 얘기도 그렇겠습니다만 일단 에포트 선수는 지금 무슨 얘기를 해도 굉장히 조심스럽고
And
일단
effort.
그러니까 지금 가장 이 승리의 기쁨을 나누고 싶은 분이
Is there
있어요?
any last message you wanna say?
가장 이 승리의 기쁨을 나누고 싶은 사람이 있다면?
Any message?
저희 팀원들 10명 다
I wanna thank all my teammates, all the 10 players in our team, and share this happiness. To pick one,
재환이 형, 울프 형.
Wolf. I would like to say Wolf.
울프 형이 진짜 열심히 도와줘서 픽
I
같은
mean,
것도
Wolf
다
really
잡아줬거든요.
helped us a lot, especially coming up the new support champs. So I wanna say thank you so much for Wolf.
애정까지 느낄 수 있었던 내용을 들어봤습니다. 이 두 명의 선수 앞으로도 좀 자주 뵐 것 같습니다. 그만큼 좀 SKT
This will be the end of the interview with FLICKR and Esports from SK Telecom, and I will pass it back to our casters. Thank you.
SKT MVP 두 명의 선수와 함께했습니다. 다시 한번 큰 박수 부탁드리겠습니다.
Thank you, Ji-sun, for the wonderful translation. Always nice to hear some love shown to the fellow support brother Wolf. Wasn't able to show up today, but effort did do his job. And in a turn of events, KT win game number 1 very one-sidedly, and we're feeling the excitement for KT. We think maybe the 2-0 is possible, and SKT shut that down.
Felt like a 3-game series to me, but SKT being the better team over the course of 3 is a surprise, given, of course, the past. But Telecom War can be interesting and amusing what it means for the standings. KT and SKT caught with each other with so much parity between basically 2nd place and 8th. It doesn't really feel like you can easily pick winners in some of these series. It does mean some of matchups that might not have been as must-watch previously are getting more and more interesting, as our second matchup of the night is a doozy. Be a bit late, of course, already 8:15 here, so after the scheduled starting time, probably a 20-minute break. But when we do get going, it's first versus second, undefeated Griffin. Blackjack, 21-0 on the year. Face off against Kingzone Dragon X, our 2-time defending champions. The hype doesn't end.
That's the matchup to watch, guys. No going to sleep, no going anywhere. You have to stay. Valdez and Papa said so.
Hey, if your parents say go to bed, don't listen to them. Papa said you can stay up.
Your papa actually has more power than your parents.
It's true.
So there you go, guys. You have your excuse. You can just tell them that your papa told you you can't go to sleep.
That's what it has to be. That's what it has to be when it's a big matchup like this. And if Griffin won, it would mean so much for them because they've had that easy strength of schedule. People have had it out and said, how good are they? They haven't beaten anyone. Kingzone is the definition of someone to beat in the LCK, and that's why I'm so interested to see what this collision looks like.
Yeah, and it's not the early start of the meta where they weren't, 100% sure about, what's going to happen. Are we a really good team still? Coming off of MSI not able to win. This is very strong Kingzone, and it should be a really close matchup. So, guys, we are going to get into that in just 20 minutes. We'll be back.
I see you always wanna go somewhere. It's been many days, many ways misled, knowing that I'm tiptoeing on both sides of the fence, trying to figure it out, but I'm living in doubt. So scared one day that your grace might run out, cause I'm so far from perfect, so close to worthless, feeling no good for worship, trying to understand this life that you purchased. Am I just a man destined for death, or do I deserve it? You died for my sins and that's the verdict. You carried out God's true will and purpose with urgency for the sake of love, forgiveness and eternity. Your grace is enough. I got so many questions, so many things to change. I'm calling out, but sometimes you're far away. I get discouraged and seem to always fall flat, but that's when you pick me up and bring me back.